Well, hello again, everybody. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by 101 Hemp. Now, it's the Christmas season, everybody. The holidays are upon us. And for some of us, this can be an extra level of anxiety and an extra level of stress, at this time of year. I know one of the things that helps me deal with the extra anxiety of this time of year is to make sure that I have my raw CBD on board. Now, I like to use the Chill Blend tincture. That raw CBD is going to help me just feel more relaxed, feel more centered, and feel less anxious. Not just that, but the chill is blended with a high-quality organic passion flower, which is going to help with that overall feeling of well-being, of relaxation. And the chill comes in a lot of great flavors like vanilla, citrus, peppermint, just to name a few. Now, this time of year can also be really stressful for our pets. A lot of us may have family coming in from out of town, and some of our pets don't do well with strangers. Or maybe we're going out of town. Some of our pets don't do well with that separation anxiety when we leave. And raw CBD may help take that anxiety level down a bit for your pet. And 101 Hemp has some great flavors for our pets like bacon and salmon. And also, in case you didn't know, all of the products from 101 Hemp make great stocking stuffers. So go over to 101hemp.org, take a look at their products, order yourself, your pet, and your loved one some CBD oil today. And you can get 25% off of your order at checkout and show your support for the podcast when you use coupon code IMGS25. Well, okay. Now let's start the show. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, what's happening? This is the In My Grow Show, the podcast dedicated to taking the mystery out of cannabis. I'm your host, Alex. I want to thank you once again for taking the time to listen to me. I truly do appreciate it. And this is episode number 90, and it is the show just before Christmas 2019. Yeah, that time is upon us again. Now, I hope you planned ahead and got all of your shopping done, that you didn't wait till the last moment. I know I've done that before, and when that happens, I never really find what I want. Not the size, not the color. So, yeah, man, get it together. Get on out there and get all that stuff done. Now, a little later, I'm going to be talking to Officer Ron Burgundy. That's not his real name. And he's a police officer in the state of Illinois. But before I put that on, let's do the strain of the week. And this week, I'm going to give it up to the Mimosa, which is a cross between the Clementine and the Purple Punch. Okay, now, I was looking on the internet for some history on the Mimosa. And one place says it's a cross between the Clementine and Purple Punch, and another place says it's a cross between the Purple Punch and the Clementine. Don't know which one is right. Why does that make a difference, you say, Alex? And that is because typically when you're calling out the lineage of a strain of a flower, you usually put the mom first. It's usually ladies first. Let's say, for instance, like the first one said Clementine crossed with Purple Punch. That makes me think the Clementine was the female and the Purple Punch was the dad. Does it really change how it made me feel? No, but, just a little geek talk there, I guess. So, yeah, there you go. Not exactly sure, but whatever. There it is. Now, the Mimosa is a sativa-leaning hybrid, and it has this really sweet kind of Hawaiian punch smell to it. Really citrusy, really fruity. I like a fruity bud. But when I smoke it, it has all that fruity flavor. But at the end, it's got this little like wet dirt kind of taste there, kind of real earthy. Like a wet dirt, like a raw peanut. You ever eat a raw peanut? You know how it doesn't really taste right. A little, not so nutty. Let's put it that way. But you know what? I think I've drifted because I'm talking about nuts. This is not a heavy hitter. The Mimosa is not a heavy hitter. It is a nice, even, level high. I really liked it. It was a great fucking daytime flower. I was able to work. It kept me focused. I do suggest that if you want to smoke pot while you're at work, this is the one to do it by. Find some Mimosa. As long as you don't have a job where you're putting anybody's life in danger, I can roll 2 joints and get high at work for some Mimosa. Oh, it's a wonderful time. So, yeah, just, keep your eye out for it. When you see it out there in the wild, pick some up. It's going to be a nice time for you. That is the Mimosa. All right. Now let's go on to the social media. There's really nothing going on except for, the fact that, I plan to go to that cannabis networking event that was going on last week. got ready for it, had my dinner early, showered, put on the nice pancake hat, not the regular one, but the nice black one that I usually wear. And then my daughter, maybe, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes before I had to leave, my daughter gets violently sick. And she's 14. She had gone out with her friends earlier that day. We're suspecting it was some kind of food poisoning she picked up from there, because that's really the only time she's ever, eaten something different that we haven't eaten. But yeah, it was a hard time for her. Pretty gnarly. Projectile. Anyways, man, it doesn't matter. You don't need the details. But, that's why I didn't wind up going, which kind of sucked, but not really. I had to take care of my kid. That was fine. But I was really looking forward to, seeing a bunch of people I hadn't seen in a while. So now let's move on to the report from the Cannabis Frontline. And I want to start off with an article that I found at the Marijuana Moment. It's titled, House Passed Marijuana Amendments Stripped from Congressional Spending Bills. And this is put together by Kyle Yeager. It starts off, House Democrats failed to get a number of marijuana-related provisions attached to large-scale spending legislations after negotiations with the Senate. Reform advocates hoped that the Republican-controlled Senate would agree to adopt measures from House-passed versions of the appropriation bill that provided protections for all states and tribal cannabis programs against federal interference. But negotiators simply agreed to keep the rider protecting just medical cannabis markets that's been approved ever since 2014. The final fiscal year 2020 spending legislation expected to be voted on by both chambers and sent to the president ahead of Friday's deadline to avoid a government shutdown also cut a proposal to shield banks that service the marijuana market from being penalized by federal regulators. The appropriation legislation additionally contained a provision continuing to block Washington, D.C. from using its own local tax dollars to implement legal marijuana sales programs. The House version omitted that measure, which would have cleared the way for cannabis commerce in the nation's capital. You see, that's something I've never understood, and somebody kind of tried to explain it to me, but didn't really. Or at least I couldn't understand it, is why they're holding up Washington, D.C. from actually implementing a cannabis program, like setting up an actual market. Because right now, from how I understand it, yes, cannabis is legal for people to possess and smoke as far as adult use, but there's really no market to sell it in. And somebody had said to me one time, and I didn't ask to clarify that the reason that is because once the capital actually has a market, goes completely legal, embraces it, that basically legalizes it, or at least deschedules it federally. But I don't know how true that is, because we had also smoked 3 joints when they started telling me this. So don't know. If you do know, let me know. Or at least let me know where I can find the answer to that, because that'd be cool to know. But, yeah, once again, it just seems like, we're all really hopeful that, yes, okay, they're going to legalize it federally this year. Cannabis is going to go legal. We'd like to think that, but all the signs that the government's sending out just doesn't reflect that, Somebody once told me, when it comes to government, watch what they do, not what they say. So just by watching them, it doesn't seem like they're really eager to legalize it federally. I don't know why. I have my suspicions, I have my theories, but I don't know exactly, don't know for sure. All right, the next thing I wanted to talk about is, so I read this article that the FDA put out, and it's entitled, Some Medicines and Driving Don't Mix. And it goes through, just which medicines could cause just impaired driving, could cause sleepiness, blurred vision, dizziness, things like that, And there's a list of drugs that they put out that they, that they don't want, that people should think about before they take them and then go driving somewhere, opioids for pain relief, or prescription drugs for anxiety, anti-seizure drugs. These are the drugs that, some of the drugs that just, they don't recommend you get behind the wheel on. Which, understood. Completely agree, right? There's even one some medicines to treat and control symptoms of diarrhea. Oh, that I can understand why. What if you have an emergency on the road? Got it. Okay, didn't understand that one till now. I guess I had to talk it out. So I'm going down the list, and one of the subtitles, or one of the subheadings, is taking cannabidiol products and driving can be dangerous. So, and that's really messed up to me. That's kind of a fucking hit piece, because while it says that in the title about CBD, they use the rest of that area to talk about actual Epidiolex, which is a pharmaceutical grade or a pharmaceutical derived from CBD. It's not exactly CBD. Or maybe it's just the isolated CBD. That's what it is. That's what I want to say. It's just the isolate of the CBD itself. It's not a full spectrum. And it's just kind of annoying because they're going through and they're talking about the side effects of Epidiolex. And every once in a while they'll throw in CBD just to, I don't know, give a black eye to CBD to make sure people think that anything derived from cannabis is also still dangerous. It just bugged me. It seemed like a fucking hit piece for anything derived from cannabis. And yeah, there you go. So I was just surprised that the FDA put that out there. It just seemed not scientific. It's just weird. All right, now the last article I want to talk about I got from the Marijuana Business Daily, and it is entitled California Agencies Suggest State Marijuana Tax System Shift to Potentially Lower Rates, Addressing Illicit Market Threats. And it doesn't say, oh yeah, here it is. It was put together by John Schroyer. I think that's Schroyer, hopefully. It starts off, an independent California state agency issued a long-awaited report about the state's cannabis tax systems and its recommendations, including a major overhaul that would simplify and possibly reduce marijuana tax rates. The goal of the reports were to assess how California's marijuana taxes can best undercut the illegal market, discourage cannabis use by youth, and also generate enough tax revenue to allow the states to properly oversee the legal cannabis industry. It says the report from the state's Legislative Analysis Office suggests several dramatic policy changes to California's current marijuana tax structures, including doing away with weight-based cultivation tax entirely, replacing the state's 15% excise tax with one based on either a tiered percentage of product sales price or one based on product potency, and then simplifying the tax collection process so that all marijuana-related taxes are collected by retailers at the point of sale at customers instead of the current system under which most taxes are collected and remitted to the state by distributors. What? Wow, that sounds real freaking complicated. Comprehensive tax reform will incentivize customers to purchase regulated cannabis products, ease administration and compliance, and increase and stabilize revenue for the state. State Assembly Member Tom Lakey, a Republican from Palmdale who's backing marijuana tax reduction, said lawmakers must make undercutting the illicit market a top priority when they reconvene in Sacramento in January. He argued that unless California successfully squashes the illegal cannabis market, then the other two goals of ensuring cannabis revenue and preventing youth cannabis from using will prove irrelevant. Well, that'd be cool if, the state regulators take all these reports and actually, move in that direction of lowering taxes, man. I don't know how many times I've said it that one of the barriers of getting into the legal market or just surviving in the legal market is the high tax rate that the cannabis industry pays. While that seems like it's good for the state coffers, it's not good for the industry because that part of it seems to really help the black market. They don't have to pay taxes. They don't have to be regulated. They can charge as low as they want to get the customer, to lure the customer away from these state-regulated operations. So yeah, I really hope that goes into effect. I hope they do lower the taxes. That'd be great. I'd like to see that. And that, brothers and sisters, is the report from the Cannabis Frontline. As always, you can find links to these articles in the show notes so you can read them at your leisure and come to your own conclusions. Okay, now, so as I mentioned earlier, I did record a conversation that I had with a very close friend of mine. He's one of my oldest friends, if not the oldest friend that I have. We've known each other our whole lives. He knew me before I was Alex. And that's how long I've known this guy. And I wanted to get him on the show because Illinois is about to get legal recreational adult use cannabis here in a couple of weeks of January 1 of 2020. And the reason I want to talk to him is because he is a cop in Illinois. And he's been a cop for a long time. And a couple of months ago, maybe about a month ago, he called me and we had a really open discussion about what you could expect from legal cannabis coming to Illinois. And what are, kind of propaganda tactics. And he also talked about what his concerns were, with what he's afraid of what might happen. Now, since he is an active member of a police force, we could not use his real name. He chose to be called Ron Burgundy. if you can believe it. So yeah, I love it. That's what we call them. So hang tight. I'm going to play a little bit of music, and then I'm going to put on this conversation that I had with Officer Ron Burgundy. Well, brothers and sisters, check it out. With me on the phone today, I have Officer Ron Burgundy with me. Officer Ron Burgundy, hey, brother, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, nice to be on here with you.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, and thanks again for taking the time, man.
No, anytime, anything for you, bro. You know that.
Right on, right on. Hey, so real quick, how long have you been on the police force?
I have been a cop for 23 years come March.
Wow. Oh, so you're ready to retire, bro.
Nah, not yet.
No.
Not yet.
Right on. So, Illinois in a couple of weeks is about to get recreational legal cannabis, brother. So let's go over some of the details about that. Let's see. As an adult, you have to be 21 and over to possess legal cannabis in Illinois.
Yes.
You can possess just over an ounce, which is about 30 grams.
No, you have to. The way it breaks down is a resident of Illinois can purchase and have in his possession or her possession at any one time 30 grams of flour, 5 grams of concentrate, oil, that kind of thing, and anything with the amount of 500 milligrams of THC in it. So edibles, gummies, that kind
tinctures.
Of thing.
Right, but that's your total amount that you can be carrying. That's not...
That's the total amount. Well, actually, that's the total amount you can buy at any one time. That's the total amount you can have in an odorless, sealed, child-proof container. That is the maximum you can have at any one time.
So now, there's all kinds of restrictions as far as where you can and can't light up and smoke a joint. I understand that, close to a school and all that, but I was looking through where you can't, and it says on there, which I kind of got a kick out of, but then I understood why, is that you can't smoke near a first responder, like a firefighter or a cop or anything.
Here's the issue with, not the issue. Any law written is really just theoretical until it gets challenged in court. So if a first responder, be it an EMT, paramedic, firefighter, cop, whatever, enters a home where they're smoking, well, that's a private domicile. That's a private residence. You can ask the person to put it out, but they really don't have to because it is their private residence. It's a Fourth Amendment issue. So what happens is, out of respect, we would like to think they would not smoke it around us. But then again, firefighters, paramedics, bus drivers, people that hold CDLs, they cannot partake in it. But, there's a lot that has to be worked out with this law. There's a lot of rules that haven't been written yet. And there's a lot of things that haven't been thought up yet as far as challenges to the law and what have you that'll come in the years to come.
Yeah, in the next couple of years, a lot of this stuff's going to get challenged. And we're going to see how what actually sticks or how it's because, I imagine in a couple of years, they're going to go back and just kind of fine-tune some of these laws because it's like anywhere, man. It's, it's a new thing. It's the first thing to come out of Prohibition in fucking 80 years.
Yes.
Yes.
And it'll be interesting to see what happens. And unfortunately, Illinois being the way it is, Cook County and Chicago pretty much run all the laws that go through Illinois. And unfortunately, Cook County and Chicago are very, very liberal Democratic cities. So the problem with that is there's no real checks and balances. And so we're gonna see what happens in the next few years. It'll be very, very interesting to see how they fine tune this.
So when you're talking about checks and balances, it's going to be interesting to see because, like you were saying, it's basically everything's however Chicago goes, that's the way Illinois goes. Pretty
much because they have the majority of the representatives because they are such a densely populated city.
Right.
So it'll be very, very interesting to see how things go.
It's going to be a trip to see how it goes for you guys, man. So now getting back to some of the things it's going to allow. So as far as home cultivation, home grows go.
No.
As well,
the only people that can grow are those that are on the medicinal cannabis program, and they can grow 5 plants 5 inches or higher. So they can have theoretically 3,000 plants that are under 5 inches, but the moment any of those hit over 5 inches, If they're in violation, they charge them up with the Cannabis Control Act.
Wow, no kidding. So you can have as many little starters as you want, but as soon as
long as you don't have them over 5 inches tall.
Oh shit! And that's only for patients. That's not regular folk. Everybody else has to buy their cannabis from somewhere.
Yep. And if you're a medicinal, the way I understand it, if you're a medicinal cannabis program participant and you violate any of the rules, not only will you be arrested, but they will also cancel your participation in that program.
Wow. So if I get busted as a patient, they're going to throw me out of it, whatever I'm going to do, pay whatever fine I have to pay or whatever I need to do, but I'm not getting back on that list. So now if it's still medicinal for me, from then on out, I'm going to be breaking the law anyways.
Exactly. But it really doesn't matter, because the only thing that really separates the medicinal from the adult is that home cultivation and the fact that as a medicinal cannabis patient, you can be under the age of 21 and be a participant in that program.
Okay.
So basically, let's say you violate it. Let's say you sell some of your medicinal cannabis to a friend of yours. The cops find out about it. We find out. We go and bust you for it. We kick you out of the program. If you're over the age of 21, you can go right back and do adult, because it's not called recreational. It's called adult use cannabis here in the great state of Illinois.
Right. Yeah. It's labeled that way everywhere that I've seen.
It's semantics is what it is.
Sure. So now that 5 plant count for patients, is that per patient or per household?
That is per household. So if the household, I believe, well, the way I understand it, and I could be wrong, I'm pretty sure that is per household. It's not like, I think Colorado has it where it's per adult in the household.
Right.
So if you have 6 adults in the household, you can have 30 plants.
Right, exactly.
And we both know that a plant, and here's the issue with it. We both know that there are certain strains of cannabis that, if yielded correctly, can produce between a half pound and a pound and a half of bud. What is somebody that's sick going to do? Because every 14 days they're allowed to re-up. What is somebody to do if they have 5 plants and now they have, freaking 5 pounds of pot?
You dry it up.
If you're smoking that much or you're using that much, dude, you're really sick.
Well, the thing is, there are really sick people out there, dude, who need it.
I completely agree. But
a lot of people now, are all of them? No. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get that. No, I get that. Yeah, and everybody wants to grow. Yeah. Once you put a plant count limit, everyone's seeing, okay, how big can we get these washing machines? Mm-hmm. Indoor.
Yep.
Because
it can't be outdoor. It can't be in public view.
Yeah. So there's quite a lot of greenhouses being built out in Illinois on private property right now, I'm sure.
Well, not really. To buy into the dispensary program, and I'm sure this was all worked behind the scenes and, behind the ignore the man behind the curtain. But to buy into the cannabis program here, like the dispensary on the adult use, you have to put up $20,000, and there's no guarantee you'll get a license.
Yeah, it's like that. And that happens here in California too. Yeah. There's some municipalities.
Exactly. And cultivation centers, there's going to be even less of those licenses put out there. I think by 2021, I think it's under 100 in Illinois. But once again, a lot of people behind the scenes, they're not putting up that money unless they can be guaranteed a license. Sure. And on top of that, people that get first cracks at the licenses, at least here in Illinois for dispensaries and cultivation centers, are going to be impoverished neighborhoods. And do you want to guess where most of the impoverished neighborhoods are?
Big cities.
In Chicago.
Yeah. So now, is that part of the equity type of thing that was written into the law? That is the social equity portion of it. They are going to allow, essentially, from what I understand, I just came back from a class on this. They are going to allow those people that have been affected by the cannabis laws. Sure. Yeah. So if you've been arrested, if your father was arrested, if your grandfather was arrested, and you are a brown or black person, you get first cracks at those either by applying for very low interest or no interest loans through the state, through their social justice equity, or through sweat equity. And right now, Chicago is trying to see if the state of Illinois will issue them a cultivation license, the actual city. Oh, wow.
So they can bring these people in and say, okay, we're going to teach you a marketable skill, which is growing cannabis. The problem is, in the opinions of a lot of lawmakers, a city should not be in the business of cultivating and selling cannabis. That's not their job. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that have not been thought up yet.
So, well, but are they going to be there to teach, or they're actually going to be putting together their own, I don't know, their own, fucking label and business?
And that's part of that thing that they just haven't thought that far forward yet. Because honestly, even though there are a lot of rumors and grumblings that the federal government's going to legalize this sooner or later, decriminalize it, nothing's been put to stone.
No,
so here's where you run into problems. Chicago gets federal funding. Every big city gets federal funding.
Right.
So if they go into cultivating cannabis, it's still illegal federally.
Yeah, they run afoul of the federal government.
Exactly. So is the federal government going to say, I'm sorry, since you are doing this and it is illegal, we cannot fund you anymore? Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of gray area here that nobody can foresee. So we're going to see what happens. It'll be interesting to see.
Wow, that will be interesting to see if Chicago actually, how that runs through and what the federal government does. Because, I mean, we all in the cannabis industry, we like to imagine, we're reading the tea leaves. But everything that's been signed into government that goes past the president, none of it signals legalization or decriminalization anytime soon. Yeah, that just goes,
nothing soon.
Yeah, and that just goes just the bills that were signed in last week. You're like, no, everything got stripped away from a lot of the bills from cannabis in what was signed by the president. A lot of the stuff was.
And you got to remember something. Since I, in the 20 plus years that I've been in law enforcement, every year I've been hearing the same thing. Oh no, they're going to decriminalize cannabis. They're going to decriminalize. For 20 years, they've been saying this. That's how long it's taken. It was probably before I even got into the game. Something tells me that the federal government's going to be the same way.
That's what it seems like. I agree with that, man. I don't know if as far as when it happens, there's still a lot of unanswered questions. There's still a lot of people a lot of old thinking in charge still also, and a lot of big money in charge also, man.
Yes. A lot of big money. A lot of big money. And part of the whole social justice program that they're trying to do here in Illinois is they're trying to keep outside entities outside the state, from coming in and applying for licenses and doing businesses here and doing that, because they want to keep the money here in Illinois.
Yeah.
And that in Illinois, I mean, hell, we've had more governors in prison than any other state, I think. And it just doesn't, it's not going to end, in my opinion, it's not going to end well.
Well, I mean, it's fuck, dude. There's going to be a lot of growing pains, bro, especially in Illinois, like you said, dude.
Yes.
Hey, but getting back to, I want to talk to you about a couple of things. Okay, so now I want to talk about like roadside, not just sobriety check, but just roadside, pulling people over now that the cannabis law is written. So is odor still a probable cause for search and seizure on the roadside stop?
In theory, no. Odor will not be a probable cause. What's going to happen is you're going to have, prior to this, like if you were to pull over a car right now and it smelled of either raw or burnt cannabis, at that point, no, get out of the car. I smell this. I know what it is. I can search your car. What's going to happen after January 1st is they're just going to have to ask some more questions. Do you work at a dispensary? Do you work at a cultivation plant? Are you a transporter? If so, if you answer yes to any of those, okay, then you have to have a special ID. Let me see it. If you don't have that special ID, well, now you can search the car. But that just means we're going to have to do a little bit more of a roadside interview is all.
Hey, so how does the new cannabis law affect gun possession? Does it at all? I mean,
no, it doesn't affect anything.
Doesn't, because I know here in California, well, at least when we had medical, you couldn't be a medical patient and own a gun.
Oh, I don't think. You see, I would be lying to you if I told you I knew exactly because that part of what I'm doing with it is not part of what I needed to do. So okay. I didn't even pay attention to that.
Sure. I get it. I get what you're saying. Yeah. So what are best practices, advice for just a regular person in Illinois driving around with cannabis, not smoking it, just in their car, just came back from a dispensary? What are best practices for them? I mean, okay, so I know, you can't have it, you shouldn't have it next to you in the front seat.
Exactly. It can't be out in plain view. It can't be out of the canisters. It can't be out of the sealed, odorless, childproof containers. The only thing is that, and this is just me speaking, is be cool about it. People were going to lose their, when we had passed concealed carry here in Illinois, people lost their freaking minds. Turned out to be not such a big deal. Same thing with cannabis. Just be cool about it. Don't roll down the window and blow a big old fat, puff of smoke in the cop's face because you think it's legal now. Don't be shoving gummies into your mouth when he pulls you over. Just be cool about it.
He's like, fuck you, you can't arrest me. All right.
Exactly. And I'm not lying to you. There's a lot of people that honestly believe that are like, oh no, I can grow as many plants as I want. I'm like, no, you can't. I go, the cannabis industry does not want you to grow plants because then you're not buying theirs.
That's a really good point though. That is something that, that's true. That's really why I think they wrote that whole part that, that recreational users can't grow, is because you have to get your medicine from somebody else. But yeah, best practices, folks. Don't be a dick. Don't be stupid, basically.
Exactly, dude. And I've worked all sorts of jobs, and I'm a firm believer that you can go from nice to dick really easy, but you can't go from dick to nice. So if you make me get mean, well, you got to prepare. And I don't believe in being mean right away, but if you want to go that route, we'll go that route. Just be cool about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the mistakes is going to be like, they're going to buy, 30 grams of pineapple kush one week. They're going to go back next week because it just didn't do what they thought it should do. And they're going to buy Maui Wowie, and they're going to have 15 grams left over of the pineapple kush. They're going to buy a freaking ounce of Maui Wowie, put it all together. Well, unfortunately, you got to be smarter than that, because guess what you now did? You have over the 30 grams, and thus that's a felony.
Well, that's a felony?
That's a felony. That's an ounce.
Oh,
and if you have it in more than one container, that's now with intent to distribute.
Oh, man, you guys just stack it on, man.
Well, fuck. Yeah, that you just got to be smart about it.
And getting back to the roadside thing, so now I was reading that Illinois, your roadside sobriety test, or I should say the sobriety test for the DUI for cannabis, you guys have a 5 nanogram blood limit. 5 nanograms per milliliter of blood.
Yes.
Dude, that's going to get challenged a lot, because there's no way.
and that's part of it.
And I was reading it because it has nothing to do with the way I understood it. It has nothing to do with impairment. It's all about levels in your blood.
Mm-hmm. Well, you see, the impairment comes in when you start failing the field sobriety test, because not only are we going to have to do the NHTSA standardized field sobriety test, but we're going to have to do some non-standardized field sobriety tests that are specific to being impaired under some type of illicit substance that isn't alcohol. And DUI is really just, here's the thing. If that officer suspects that you're high on the cannabis or any drug and says, hey, come out and take these tests, and you refuse, your license suspended within 45 days. It's done.
But now, is it that I refuse to do the roadside, or that
roadside
you take me in?
Or chemical?
So if I refuse the roadside and say, no, take me in to do whatever the chemical, just refusal of the roadside, they could pull my license.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Holy shit.
Yep,
so, okay.
Absolutely. Now, then we run into the problem that the suspension of the license is a civil offense. The DUI itself is criminal. The suspension of the license is civil.
Oh yeah, no, that's a completely different thing.
Yeah, so a lot of these hospitals are going to be like, sorry, without a search warrant, we're not taking that blood.
Oh wow.
So some hospitals will be absolutely, we'll take the blood. We know the law. Others may not, and that's going to be education on their point. And like I said, there's a lot of what ifs with this law.
Sure. Well, because
with any law.
Because it's good until it's challenged, or at least it's pure until it's challenged, let's say. But here's a problem I have with the 5 nanograms. So if Alex goes driving through Illinois and cop pulls me over for whatever reason, and he doesn't like whatever, the cut of my jib, he can say, you know what, I'm going to take you in because I think you're on pot. Now, even if I haven't smoked for a week, let me tell you, Alex will still have higher than 5 nanograms in his blood after a week. I mean, isn't there seems like there's areas for fuckery there, for just screwing people, just getting them into the system. That's the problem I have with the 5 nanogram count. And that's the problem I have with a lot of chemical roadside tests for cannabis. Because like you said, those are just things that we have to figure out, and we haven't figured out yet. No state has. So...
unfortunately, when the law was written, I like I said, once again, I'd be lying to you if I knew how they came up with any of these numbers or what any of this means. And what's funny is, take alcohol. For you or for me or, somebody that's not a big drinker, 0.08, concentration in the bloodstream or 0.08 on the breathalyzer for a normal person.
Yeah.
May be completely blitzed out of their mind. Completely. 0.08 for me probably doesn't even affect me.
Right. Yeah, it's going to affect us all differently.
Exactly. So 5 nanograms in the bloodstream for you, you may be more normal than you usually are. But 5 nanograms for somebody the first time they've ever used it may not. I just don't know the science behind it.
Sure. Well, and that's the thing. That's why I say it's going to be challenged a lot, because if you get a good lawyer who knows the science of cannabis, dude, this law that nanogram count's going to be thrown out a lot. And
the problem is you don't have a lot of those in Illinois right now.
That is the problem.
Specifically because it's a brand new law.
Hey, man, if anybody's listening, fucking go bone up on your Illinois cannabis law.
Yeah, I mean, get past the bar here and come in and practice. I don't know how that works, but, same thing that happened in Colorado, same thing that happened anywhere where they've passed the recreational or the adult use cannabis, there was a learning curve. There's a huge learning curve. And the same thing's going to happen here. And we have, I have a lot of cops that are asking a lot of questions, and I'm just like, hey, guys, no different than when they did concealed carry, no different than when they did medicinal. Nothing really changed. You just got to be more careful about how you do your business.
You just got to pay more attention. Yeah, you're right. Hey, so I want to change directions completely away from cannabis, because I got a couple of questions, or at least one big one, but it's kind of two-part. And I want to ask you this because you are part of a special weapons team, right, in Illinois?
Yes.
Okay, so, which is, for everybody else, is just the SWAT team. Okay, but my question is, because I'm a father, my daughter's going into high school, and it's a crazy fucking world that we live in where you actually have active shooter drills in schools.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I know your kids are grown already. They're in their 20s. What kind of advice did you have to have that kind of conversation with your kids about an active shooter situation? And what did you tell them? I mean, is the training that they're getting in school, is that really the best thing to do to, shelter in place?
Well, the thing is, you got to do something. And in the country as a whole, to my knowledge, there has never been a child or a teacher killed during an active shooter situation where they were able to lock the door and get in a room. Reason being, because active shooters know they have just a small time frame before the coppers show up. So a closed door to them is an obstacle that they don't have time for. Do I think training kids in school to do that stuff is good? Yeah. Because I hate to say it, and I don't want to be that guy, but kids today are very soft.
Yeah. No, I mean, you can say it, bro. Yeah, I mean.
Because, like, when I get new recruits in, and I ask them flat out, I'm like, how many of y'all ever been punched in the face? And nobody raises their hand. I'm like, seriously?
Like, you're in for a surprise.
Really? And, I think it's a good thing. And the problem is the United States as a whole, we have grown soft. In other countries, this is not anything new. European countries, take Israel, hell, the school teachers in Israel carry guns. It's nothing new. To us, it's, oh my God, the poor kids. But in the end, what do you want us to do? We could totally do something like, if you've ever had a chance, one of the best books I ever read was The Terror at Beslan, about the Beslan school siege in Russia. That author talked to a bunch of guys from the Russian Spetsnaz and said, hey, what do you think we should do? He goes, what do you think you should do? Take some of these ex-special forces guys that are coming out of the military, pay them $50,000 a year to work half the year and be your school security. Just get 2 or 3 of them for every school in the United States. But do you think anybody would want to do that?
Wow.
You can make a school look like a prison and make sure nobody can ever get in with a gun. But do these parents and does the legislature want to do that?
Yeah, that's because it's not a fucking bumper sticker answer, man. That's what people are, and that's what people are looking for, man. People are looking for the really quick, the really simple. Oh, let's blame it all on gun possession. It's like, well, no, it's not just gun possession,
know what?
Man.
Where was it? In, I want to say Japan or some other country. I can't remember. Somebody went in with a freaking butcher knife.
Oh yeah, and killed like 3 people.
Exactly.
Stabbed like 15 students. Yeah.
Exactly. It's not the tool used. Some tools make it easier. Some tools make it harder. But it's not a tool problem. It's a person problem. And if these parents are upset that, oh, my kid had to do an active shooter drill. Hey, listen, here's the deal. If I'm willing to go into a school to take out a guy who's shooting people, then you should be willing to do your part. And if training your kid to do that is your part, then man, you should support it because they need to have something because we can't arm the kids.
No, at least not yet.
First time somebody has a bad hair day, all hell's going to break loose.
Yeah, a little too emotional there for that. But, so then that goes around for just any active shooter situation too. Like if you're in a mall, just fucking lock yourself in a closet and, don't make noise.
I've always told my wife, and my kids that if I'm alone, I am much stronger alone than I am with them. Because if I'm with them, I have to worry about them. If I'm by myself, I only have to worry about me. If that makes sense.
No, it does. It does completely. Yeah, it does completely. Wow. Well, hey, Officer Ron, man, brother, thank you for getting on the phone with me, man. Those are all my questions. That was awesome. All
right, brother. I hope to, if you need anything else in the future, give me a call. I'll be happy to hook you up.
Yeah, man, I certainly will, brother. And, if you ever have any other questions about cannabis, you just let me know.
You're my go-to guy anyhow.
Right on. Hey, do me a favor. Don't hang up, though. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Everybody else, I'm going to play a little bit of music, and then I'll be right back. Well, everyone, there you go. That's just a quick look at what the law is looking at when it comes to legal cannabis or, adult use cannabis in Illinois. And once again, I want to thank Officer Ron for getting on the phone with me. I really do appreciate his time and I appreciate him, taking the chance, taking the risk of coming on the show and talking to us. If you have a question or a comment about this episode, you can send me an email that is inmygrow@gmail.com. You can find me on Instagram at Twitter at inmygrowshow. You can also find me on the Cannabis app at Alex Robles. And I say that questioningly because I'm not exactly sure, but I'm out there. Just type in Alex Robles at the Cannabis, you'll find me. Well, brothers and sisters, mis hermanos, my friends, that's all I have for you today. Those are all my notes. Once again, I want to thank all the artists who let me use their music to put the show together. And I want to thank you for taking the time to listen to me. Remember, if this show has educated you, entertained you, or even given you a little escape from your day, you can help out by going to patreon.com/inmygrowshow and leaving a financial donation. If you don't want to do that, you can go to inmygrow.com, click on the Support the Show tab, and buy a t-shirt. You can also click on the Amazon link at the top of the show notes before you go shopping on Amazon, because that just lets them know that we sent you and the show gets a commission. Now, if you can't support the show financially, don't worry about it. I get it. But here's how you can help. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe to the website inmygrow.com. And then go over to YouTube, search for the In My Grow Show with Alex, and then subscribe to the YouTube channel. Then after you do all that subscribing, you just got to do one more thing. Tell 3 other people about the show. Really quick, really easy. Well, everybody, I hope you have a really great Christmas. Remember that I love you all very much, and to always grow, learn, and teach